Okay, once again, it's time for the program that dares to ask and answer the questions that most people shy away from. It's the Topeka factor. A no-holds-barred look at what's going on in the capital city of Kansas, both from the standpoint of real estate and other issues that perhaps pertain to ongoing livability and property values.
That actually create the Topeka factor.
There you go.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I'm Marshall Barber. He is
Henry McClure live.
Henry McClure live. So we're in the studio.
We're segueing from all the shows I've done as Henry McClure live to the Topeka factor.
Right.
We're converting.
We are now.
I'm a convert.
we are now the Topeka factor, and
being the Topeka factor with you, that would be fun.
Where do we disseminate this program? I'm assuming we are going.
We're gonna
well outside the Topeka.
Well,
area.
we will be on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
And then we'll also promote each episode on my various Facebook pages, and I'll send them out on Twitter and put them on LinkedIn. So we'll get some exposure.
There's a pretty good chance that somebody watching this may not actually live in Topeka.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
my Twitter feed, I have about 18,400 followers, but only 63% live in the United States.
Oh, okay. Well, as opposed to sending a busload of immigrants to Washington, D.C. or a couple.
Well, you know something, I want to say something about that.
Bring them to Topeka.
I think those guys, no, I don't want them here. But what we ought to be doing is sending them home.
Well, we could put.
We shouldn't be sending. I mean, the ones to Martha's Vineyard, that was a good one. And then they're unloading them right in front of Kamala Harris's house
in Washington. But
you got to admit that's a little funny.
Why not?
But it doesn't solve the problem.
There's plenty of bunk space at the White Lakes Plaza Shopping Center. We're terrible. You know that? What can I? Actually, we're not bad guys.
No, I'm not. Not since May 2nd, 2015.
Being in this business can give you kind of a warped sense of humor.
Well, being in this business makes you cope with everything to do with life. And one thing that I don't think you're coping with well.
Me?
Yes, is interest rates.
One thing I've never professed to be good at is coping with any aspect of life.
Well,
particularly interest rates.
But interest rates, when I started in real estate in 1979, interest rates were 18 to 22%.
I remember that very well.
Okay, so my first sale was, I think it's 1634 Wayne, right by Bill Lewis's office.
Yeah.
That was my first sale, which was ironic. When I was in high school, that was the first house I ever painted for Bill Lewis. Back in the day, when I used to paint for him.
Well,
you remember Bill Lewis?
I do.
He got, and I met him because he was my chiropractor as a gymnast.
Yeah.
He used to adjust athletes, and I'm telling you, in gymnastics, you get your body out of whack. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then also barefoot water skiing. You take some really bad falls.
I guess somebody crazy enough to do gymnastics would, by extension, be crazy enough to do barefoot water skiing.
Well, yeah, it's adrenaline.
There you go.
Well, that's what after years of life, I found out my addiction was adrenaline.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
interest rates
at that time.
So I would come in, and there was a typewriter, and you'd put in these variables. And I also made $10 an hour when I first started in real estate, teaching people how to use the MLS typewriter. And so what I would do is come in and
the old MLS keyboard, yeah.
Yeah, even before there was a screen.
You think we could make that much now?
$10 an hour?
Yeah. I'm all in. No, but
well, we're going to try to at least get $10 an hour back on the Topeka factor,
but here's
figure out how to make some money here.
At some point in the conversation, I want to say why high interest rates are bad for everybody.
Well, I agree. I'm not. But what I would do is I'd come in and find assumable loans
Oh,
between 5 and 6%.
the good old days of no qualifying assumptions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'd have to find mortgages that didn't have acceleration clauses.
Yeah.
And so that's what I sold my first year in real estate, was basically selling financing.
Yeah. Yeah. My all-time favorite were those, what were those called? Negative AM with Carl Brown and Company. You borrow $100,000, a year later you owe them $110,000.
Yeah, those were not. That's not a cool deal. But when I think,
Well, that was their way of offsetting 17% interest.
well, the point what I'm making is today,
Negative AM.
the point I'm trying to make today is, for the fact if interest rates are 5 and 6%, it still ain't bad.
Oh, well, I agree with that.
And it shouldn't.
It's just
it shouldn't stop anybody from buying a house today.
I can remember when rates first went down to below 10, if people then could have gotten 5 1/4, they'd be literally running over their own grandmothers to get to the door.
Do you remember bond money?
Of course.
Okay,
I bought my first house with a Shawnee County mortgage revenue bond.
So
12 1/4.
So when I started in '79, I got the last bond money at 11.5% interest.
You would.
Yeah. Well, because I'm lucky.
There goes that damn Henry with the last of the bond
Henry
money.
McClure, lucky. You know.
I was going to buy a house, but Henry got the last bond money.
Another reason to hate Henry McClure.
One more reason.
The Topeka factor.
That guy's still hating you. Well, here's the thing about interest rates. Now, my phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer.
Is it anybody we need to talk to?
Well, it says Midwest Health System.
Who's sneaking into the studio over here?
Let's go ahead and. Hi, this is Marshall. Susan, how are you?
Hey, it's
Can I call you back in a
It's,
little while because
Braille.
I'm taping a show right now. I will do that. Thank you very much.
he's taking calls during the Topeka factor.
Well, it said mid.
And why were you late today?
I told him you gonna get him, Henry. I saw him coming down the hall. So
Yeah.
oh, Henry gonna be on your head.
He told me to. He actually suggested that I just turn around and get back in my car.
No,
And
we're
then-
glad you're here.
And then phone in saying
When I was actually looking forward to being able to vent today.
oh about the keys.
Yeah. Because sometimes
The old
what it really made me think about, what we talked about in our last episode, is I need to be working for myself.
Okay.
I need to be the guy buying, there's sometimes I want to be a developer, sometimes I don't want to be a developer. Sometimes I want to own. It's like my house deal that I'm making. I'm leasing residential and office space for a 10-year lease. And so I can be more nimble.
All right.
in
Well,
life.
let's say you had $1 million,
$1 million.
and you could make 6% or 5% or 4% on your million by building something that would put people to work, and
You know what the secret to this story is? Is having the tenant to do it. Because if you've got a tenant that will pay rent, you can go to the bank and borrow the money to buy the building.
it's just that.
I've literally bought stuff back in the day when I was broke. I could just go out when I could finance everything before Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, before Dodd-Frank. Now
Yeah.
there is an arcane real estate reference before Dodd-Frank.
I could finance stuff
That's
100%.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
because they.
But think of the cycles that I've seen.
Right. Well, there was the one.
43 years of this.
That's probably not the one I'm thinking of, but in the 80s, maybe this is Dodd-Frank. Congress took away the accelerated depreciation for commercial property.
No, that was Reagan did that.
And so all these people whose profit margins were predicated on accelerated depreciation, suddenly started going broke, which meant that suddenly a lot of the savings and loans started going broke. And you had that, what was it called? The Resolution Thrift Corporation?
Oh yeah,
RT
that was like late
That's it,
80s.
that was
I
the
had
80s.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had their book, and I was trying to
That was a lot
find
of fun.
opportunities, in the California area
Yeah.
and Nevada, but I never was able to put a deal together with the Resolution Trust Company.
Didn't they have like a 5% rate, and then they for depreciation, and then they changed that to 17 or something?
I don't recall that.
Because if you can take 5% of $1 million in depreciation, in a 5-year schedule for depreciation on $1 million, as opposed to a 17-year schedule on $1 million, then your property becomes worth a lot more if you need that offsetting tax break.
Yeah, the depreciation factor, and then
That's how. Well, keep going.
well, when the tax code changed in the 80s, that was basically also the time when Macerich decided to become a public company.
Yeah.
Yeah, because oh man, and I'm having a senior moment right here.
Because if it goes from 5 years to 20 years, say, or 17, if it were 5 years and you had $1 million, then that's $200,000 a year depreciation. That's a lot of depreciation.
That is.
But
So
okay.
let's talk about Capital Federal. You want to talk? That's a good company.
Interest
Good,
rate.
solid Topeka company.
Interest rates.
Nice people. Henry Bubb actually invented the mortgage insurance company.
Right, MGIC.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another Topeka factor. And another Henry.
Yeah. It's the Henry factor. And we thought this was the Topeka factor.
It is the
But
Topeka factor.
I just got off the phone with my old friend Tim O'Shea, who's also known as the Monsignor of the mortgage loan industry in Topeka.
Monsignor?
Yeah, he's the Monsignor. Tim O'Shea's been down there at 7th and Kansas for probably close to 30 years, and he's been telling me that the current interest rates, just so you know, are 30-year fixed 5.5. That's with 0 points. But if you can pay 1 point, you can buy it down to 5.25. And if you can pay 2 points, you can buy it down to 5. Now, that's the 30-year rate. If you want to go 20 years, 5 3/8 is 0. 5.25 or 5 1/8. I'm sorry, 5 1/8 is 1 point, and you can get down to 4.875 with 2 points.
So would you buy the interest down or just go with 0 if it were you?
As a seller, I'm willing to pay.
No, as a buyer.
As a buyer, I'm not so sure that I'd be wanting to buy the rate down myself.
I wouldn't.
But if someone else
And
did,
I don't want to. I'm not, as a seller, I'm not paying any points.
15.
Not
yes,
with
you
the
are.
housing market.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not.
You are.
Not Henry McClure.
Yep, you are.
There's only 100 houses on the market.
Well, still, you
It's
want to
still-
sell yours today? You pay me 2 points. 15-year loans.
So he does sound like a bookie.
15-year loans, 5.0% for 15-year loan. Now, again, this is a rate.
Ace Rothstein right
Yeah,
here.
there you go. Higher, or Lefty Rosenthal, if you will. 5.0, that's a rate that people say around 2007 or 2002 would have been grateful to have, but they got so used to these really low rates that now 5 seems high.
And you got to forget about it.
But really,
Buy today. Don't pay points. Just get, something.
but we'll pay your points.
Just be happy. Just buy something. Get into a deal. Don't fall in love with real estate. Just get somewhere where you want to be.
If you want to buy 921 Plas, I will pay your points.
There you go. See, look, he's going to buy it down.
Crazy Marshall.
Well, so
Discount house
what's
for
that
real
going to
estate.
cost you?
Huh? $3,200 for 2 points.
Yeah, but are you going to charge $3,200 in the sale price?
No. We'll just sell it.
I don't know if I'm buying that.
Seriously.
Okay, but so you've got enough profit margin
We hope.
in your acquisition and your construction costs to still make a good profit and pay the points.
And we also know.
Well,
that
no, that's a nice nuance.
the
To me, I think it's smoke and mirrors.
the
But
calendar says September 15th. That means we have 6 days left of summer. Then we've got 90 days.
I'm
roughly
ready
of
for fall.
Well, and then
I love fall.
the object being to not continue to own this house. Of course, it's not even technically on the market yet, but the object is to not own the house by the time of the winter solstice.
Okay, so,
So-
now we're going on moon phases.
So-
This is really getting good.
So we'll pay 2 points.
Okay, so have you noticed that some of the links that I've been posting on Facebook to help track some of your stuff? Don't look now, but I've been trying to promote all your stuff.
Okay.
Okay, but so
I got a text here from a building inspector. Can I look at it?
yeah, you can look at it.
Got the padlock off the front door. Key does not open the garage door lock.
Which property? Class?
No, this is somewhere else. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Another problem.
Well, it's just what we do.
Yeah.
Hey, so did you know we got a new city manager?
It's right here on the front page. If you're not talking, you're not listening. No, wait. If you're talking, you're not listening.
Is that a warning? I think he's telling Joe Ledbetter to shut up. Hey, this is a precursor to Joe Ledbetter.
Oh, boy. Stephen Wade, which one was he?
He used to work at the Capitol Journal, and I don't know how long.
What?
But I think that he
you
also
kidding me?
lived in different communities and came back twice.
Yeah?
I don't. All I can tell you was I was in a meeting with him about the TIF district for
Oh.
Topeka Boulevard,
Okay.
and I thought he was astute and sharp and level-headed.
The TIF district for Topeka Boulevard.
Yes.
When was that and what was the TIF district?
Well, they're putting it together.
Oh, they're still doing that.
Yes.
Tax increment financing.
Yes.
Correct? Okay, so how does that work?
Well, so this is the way I want it to work, but they're forming the district right now. So they've got the map.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did
they've
not
got
know
the
that.
map out there, and then you've got to, by Kansas law, you've got to expose the plan to the public.
Yeah.
You got to have meetings about it, and I think they want to go out to the community and have some meetings. And
Is there anything about that in the article? Or is this, whereabouts is this?
well, I think if you watch Tuesday City Council meeting, you can get a good kind of recap of.
Shawnee Heights graduate.
So the Topeka Greater Partnership, is that right?
Yeah, okay.
They're actually the applicant for the tax incremental
district.
financing district. But so here's what I want to do in that. I want to take the wheat field. You hearing me?
I'm listening.
The
but
wheat field development
Yeah,
contract,
right.
the development agreement for Wheatfield.
Which is 29th and Fairlawn?
Right.
Okay.
Because everybody came out with their cheerleading, their pom-poms, and that was the greatest thing since white sliced bread, that project, which I love the project. I think it's a great use for that corner. But, the way it almost seemed like the future Topeka loomed on whether that project went through, right? I'm being over dramatic, but that's the Henry factor.
Yeah.
But the Topeka factor was that everybody came out and cheered for the project. It's a good project. I think it needed a little more elbow room, but I think it's going to be short parking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to create some real traffic issues in the long run due to its
could be.
success.
Yeah.
But I want to take the development agreement and create a generic agreement, because let's say the nuances of the contract for there would actually be you know, it's like we need the TIF district on Topeka Boulevard more than we need at 29th and Fairlawn, if you need to encourage development. You know, in the long run, somebody's going to take that corner at 29th and Fairlawn
Okay.
and develop it, as they did.
Ultimately,
Right.
yes. Okay.
Because it doesn't have some of the challenges that Topeka Boulevard has.
Right.
You know, with White Lakes, and you know, that was a real eyesore for years.
I think Lauren Holman Sr. would disagree with that.
Lauren Holman Sr., you know, he actually, or was it him or his son that did the real estate for Montgomery Ward?
Probably him, but I wouldn't know really.
Now, Senior, you know, he was Dana Anderson's partner in the home building business.
Okay.
The Holman.
I did not know that.
We'll get Dana on the Topeka Factor if we have to. But
Yeah, what was down there? You had those office buildings that were like 8 feet tall total. These cheesy little like vacuum cleaner repair shops. The 29th and Fairlawn.
oh,
And of course you had Southwest Bowl.
Herman's Meat was down there.
Well,
That was a good
Herman's had the
tenant.
old quick shop.
They had the quick shop.
So that was a respectable building.
What was really funny was Linda Muth had he chewed up the the hotel, right?
Yeah, right.
But the building itself was collateral for the loan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyway, not to
had-
focus on the negative side
He
of
was a real creative guy. But what about this? Here's this lady speaking at the city council meeting, a woman who feared she was going to lose the house where she'd lived for many years because of the potential establishment of a tax increment financing.
yeah, she was
So basically, Henry, you want to take away her house.
no.
Same guy who took the last mortgage bond in the 80s is back
Well, and
to
that
take
la-
away this poor woman's house.
And the nice see the thing about
Which opens-
eminent domain.
That opens the door for another Big Lebowski reference. They're going to kill that poor woman.
Well, her husband's like got hospice. You know, no, I'm not. I mean,
Oh, we're terrible. I should just kill myself right now.
but anyway.
Every
She was commenting about his health and how nervous it was making her.
Okay, so where is this exactly?
Well, and her house was not in the actual TIF district.
Okay, but where is it?
It's from.
She needs to talk to
You
a
know where
highly-
the new what?
She needs to talk to a highly trained real estate professional.
So you know where the new Turnpike office is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's everything north up to Croy, except it goes all the way down to where Bennigan's and
Yeah.
Gordman's was located.
Well, that's in your neck
It's
of
got the
woods.
new main line, right? Well, I'm one of the advocates of the TIF project.
So you're a player,
Well, maybe a little one,
huh?
little player.
You don't need some little $700,000 shopping center. You're already a player. Yeah.
Well, that's another
the
way to
TIF.
look at it. I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna. So what I want to do is I want
That
to
whole
take.
thing's going to be a TIF.
Yeah, but think about that area. That needs development.
You're right.
It needs development.
And if
And
you're
it
watching,
needs development more than 29th and Fairlawn.
if you're watching this show, there may be some opportunities in that district. By
Well,
the time
yeah.
you see this.
And but one thing they need to put in there is the old Fox White Lakes Theater. It needs to
Oh
be
my
in
God!
that TIF district.
I drive by that thing.
You know,
I go to Pancho's, get my cheese enchiladas or whatever, and then I have to drive by that Fox Theater. Right away, my appetite is gone.
so I sold
I'm ready to throw my food out to the crows.
Sears to Mainline Printing in '04.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah, John Parker at Mainline.
They're a total asset to the community.
He's a sharp
Main
guy.
line. Yeah,
We ought to walk through there,
I will.
except we can't film.
Oh well, that makes sense.
They've got
They've got a
printing.
lot going on there.
They've got
5
printing
minutes.
presses. You know, that one's 2.8 million.
Yeah.
That one's 3 million. The printing press I think they're going to put in Gordman's is more expensive than the land and building that they bought.
Wow,
But
that's impressive. That really is.
well, the point I'm trying to
That's
make
in the TIF?
in a positive way
Right.
is that so any nuances you'd give to a guy at 29th and Fairlawn, ought to be able to go to Topeka Boulevard without negotiation.
Was 29th and Fairlawn a TIF?
Yeah,
I did not know
and a
that.
CID.
So,
And you ought to see all the funding sources. It's an interesting project. So if we just take that development agreement, because you're not going to give the guy at 29th and Fairlawn more than you'd give anybody on the Topeka Boulevard tip.
right.
So let's just make them equal.
Okay. Just in case somebody is wondering what a TIF is, tax increment financing, how does that work?
Okay,
And
so
how-
let's just say, for example,
How does the other thing work?
let's
too?
just say, for example, you've got $100,000 coming in on the district in taxes.
Right.
And you count sales tax and
Property tax?
property tax.
Okay, so it's everything.
So let's just say it's $100,000. So what you do is you guarantee that increment over the time of the TIF district. Then any increment above the $100,000 can go to pay TIF eligible funds. And TIF eligible is usually anything below grade. You don't get to finance buildings,
Right.
but it's to help pay for infrastructure to redevelop.
Okay.
So it's to tee it up. Now, a CID is actually on top of that, and that's actually where you charge maybe more tax, more sales tax. So if you're at
Oh, it's
Johnny's,
finance. Okay. Okay, keep going.
yeah, if you're at Johnny's, you're going to pay 2% more in
As a
sales
customer.
tax as a customer
As a customer, you
to
go.
pay to
yeah.
have Johnny's on that corner.
Right. And there were some businesses over at 17th and Wanamaker that were doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
With the CID.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the Academy Sports has a CID.
Right, right.
And I think that some other people have used that downtown. But what we really need to do,
You're saying there should be like a blanket development agreement
Yeah.
of some kind
yeah,
that
exactly.
would apply to all would-be developers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even playing field.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to do. That's really the Topeka factor. We got to make it to where it's an even playing field.
Otherwise, there would be a bias towards developing some areas against developing other areas.
Or who's developing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who?
The guy that did Wheatfield could easily go down and just say, "Hey, look, I want the same deal and I'll develop White Lakes."
Right.
Okay, great. Give it to him.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, why not? He's qualified.
Okay.
But I should get the same thing.
Okay. And right now you would not? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying what I'm trying to get at is that we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel for every deal within the TIF district. So once you qualify, once the TIF districts form, everybody has to come forward project by project.
Okay.
And I just want to have one development agreement.
And this
Going
TIF,
forward.
this TIF district as such has not been approved yet.
No, it's in process.
And it's for all, between 37th going north? Is that
Well,
what
I'll tell
said?
you what I'll do. I'll make a blog post about it and put it underneath this page. How's that?
That sounds good.
All right, so take us out. When's the next show?
This means we don't have to talk about the 12th Street project or about the
Not in this episode.
vacant homes registration. So that's been another episode. of the
Another
Speaker
episode
Factory
in the can.
with real estate broker Henry McClure, real estate agent Marshall Barber. Thanks for what am I trying to say? Thanks so much
Tolerating our existence.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Henry McClure Live.